chair this discussion meeting on practical aspects of faceless assessment schemes. Today's guest speaker is CA Dr. Rakesh Gupta, who is well-known personality not only in India but in international arena also. His biodata itself is a matter of research, and one can certainly do PhD on his biodata and his achievements. Friends, now coming to the subject directly, the faceless assessment scheme is one of the biggest direct tax reform in India based on key principles of efficiency, transparency, and accountability. Now we have faceless appellate scheme and faceless penalty scheme as well. The Indian government has embarked on a journey of adoption of technology and digitization in governance processes and citizen services over the last few years. The faceless assessment scheme was launched, as you know, in 2020 with the objective of promoting an efficient and effective tax administration, minimizing fiscal interface, increasing accountability, and introduction of team-based assessment. Faceless assessments is no doubt a major tax reform initiated in India. As per the information available from public domain, as of April 2021, the tax authorities had issued assessment orders in 1,06,734 cases, and no extra taxable income was added in over 90% of faceless assessment cases. Friends, the faceless assessment is administered through separate units within the tax department, each of which has a specific and important role in the process. That is assessment units, verification units, technical units, and review units. All these units work closely with the National E-Assessment Center and Regional E-Assessment Center as well. The main feature, I just briefed them, of faceless assessment scheme are data-driven selection of cases for scrutiny using data analytics and artificial intelligence. I impress this on this word artificial intelligence. Second, abolition of territorial jurisdiction. Return of a taxpayer belonging to one city would be scrutinized anonymously by AOs based in other cities. Automated random allocation of cases to assessment units through the computers. No human interface and no need to visit the income tax office. All response to be submitted electronically, and a single point faceless contact between the taxpayer and the department. Adverse draft assessment order shall be provided to the taxpayer for response before finalization of the assessment order. And dynamic jurisdiction. Draft assessment order in one city, review in other city, and finalization in the third city. There are certain issues in faceless assessment which I can say with my own experience. Number one, it is not meant by officers having good knowledge or grip over the law. In many cases, they are not even seriously going through submissions made and are reverting back with the same questionnaire or little modification sticking to their stand. This is giving rise to uncalled litigations and causing mental agony to the taxpayers. Secondly, more weightage has been given to assessment based on set of instructions and SOPs. This method has its own limitations as it cannot encompass all possible business scenarios. The tax officer may, in order to comply with the set of instructions and SOPs, and to avoid audit risk on them, may follow the instructions and SOPs in a rigid manner without any flexibility in reserving cases too. So a set of instructions will lead to the same conclusion. The same is not warranted in each and every case. Third one, so the scheme provides for issuance of multiple show cause notices before making additions, and the proposed additions will be reviewed by the other units. However, the psychology within the department would remain the same, that the addition has been proposed by other department officers only and should therefore sustain. The entire efforts of various units might then move towards sustaining the additions rather than reviewing it independently and arriving at the correct decision. The mishap of the dispute resolution panel of sustaining additions due to the clipping of revenues powers in 2015 to appeal against order of DPR should be avoided. Friends, recently, day before yesterday, there was a newspaper report that Government of India is considering to have fiscal mode of hearing in those cases, perhaps where the total income is over 200 crores or more. But I think this is discriminatory. Why other SEs who are having less income be not given this opportunity? Second most important thing is that in faceless assessment, we have to be very particular and meticulous in framing our replies, because even a comma or the full stop will have the meaning. Any word can give a different meaning and it may result in the unwanted additions. And second thing, all papers, all replies should be very well documented. Otherwise, it may result in, say, misleading assessments, or it may not be to the satisfaction of the FFA. Friends, the purpose of faceless assessment is that it should meet the ends of the justice. So there are, in my opinion, there are certain hiccups. So we have to ensure that the justice is done to the assessee. So whatever the discussions we have today, I'm sure our learned speaker will discuss all these issues. And before that, I would like to convey my grateful thanks to Kushwaha, whom I know for the past more than 20 years. When he was in Regional Council from the 2007 to 2012, and later on Central Council members of Institute during 2013 to 18. And presently, he is a member of Institute of Cost Accountants of India, nominated by Government of India. He is serving the profession with his full might, and any issue which has been raised by members has been well received and tackled and resolved by him. I have observed this in so many occasions. Friends, further during this COVID period, he served those who were suffering from COVID, whether in profession or the other people. He has done a tremendous work, and every word of appreciation is for him for this noble cause. I am sure that he will continue to serve this profession for many more years, and we all will be benefited. Our profession and our members will also be benefited, because that way we serve to our country also. If we are true to our profession, we are true to our nation. Recently, we are having a workshop in Lucknow, hosted by a department, that how a tax expert can be helpful in nation building. So the government is also considering the role of chartered accountants and professions, how they can be helpful to this, to our nation. With these words, I thank you all for giving me this opportunity, and I pass on this to Mr. Vinay Mittal ji.
बिना देरी करे हुए मैं भाई राकेश डॉक्टर राकेश भाई साहब से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, जो कि जी
थैंक यू श्री विनय मित्तल, चेयरमैन श्री भार्गव साहब, मेरे बहुत ही अभिन्न मित्र श्री मुकेश कुशवाहा जी, और श्री गोविंद साहब, श्री तिवारी जी, और बाकी सभी मेरे प्रोफेशनल मित्र। it is a pleasure to be with all of you this evening to be speaking on the faceless assessment. As the chairman of the session spoke about the importance of the faceless assessment mode and modicum, but the way this entire things are being managed and administered now calls for a deep introspection at the end of those who are responsible for its effective and efficacious implementation. I tell you, many of you may be knowing that I do compose poetry also. Only yesterday, I wrote one poetry on this income tax portal. मैं बीमार हूँ, मैं income tax पोर्टल हूँ और काफी समय से चोटिल हूँ. यस मुकेश जी कुछ बोलेंगे?
बस सर मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है, जो कविता आपने कश्मीर के ऊपर लिखी थी उसे जरूर सुनाएं.
तो अब
इतनी
चूंकि
सुंदर कविता है, इतना अच्छा ऐसा चित्रण शब्दों में किया है, जिस तरह से शब्दों को चुना गया है, संजोया गया है, एक नई भावनाओं को उसमें उद्गारों को व्यक्त किया गया है. तो एक सजीव सा चित्रण है कश्मीर का, जो एक आम आदमी की, आम हिंदुस्तानी की फीलिंग है और वो क्या चाहता है. तो वो चित्रण भाई साहब ने किया. मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि उस चित्रण को जरूर वर्णित करें सब्जेक्ट को सुनाने से. भाई साहब ये सीपी आवर नहीं है, ये हमारा पर्सनल इनफॉर्मल एक फोरम है जहां हम अपना एजुकेशन गेन कर रहे हैं और हम अपने बातों को रखने के लिए, कहने के लिए हमारे मेंबर्स उसको हमें फ्रीडम ये दी हुई है. तो मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है आपसे.
चलिए वो बाद में रखेंगे, बाद में मतलब प्रोग्राम जब खत्म होने के कगार पर होगा उस वक्त. लेकिन इस वाली कविता का उल्लेख करना इस विषय के संदर्भ में था, इसलिए मैंने उसका उल्लेख किया. तो मैं ये बतला रहा था कि जब कल मैं दिल्ली ऑफिस जा रहा था, तो लगभग जब मैं फरीदाबाद से साउथ एक्स जा रहा था, तो अपोलो हॉस्पिटल के पास मुझे लगा कि मुझे कुछ इस पर लिखना चाहिए. उससे पहले मेरे मन में दूर दूर तक कुछ नहीं था. और मुकेश जी आप विश्वास मानिएगा, इस पोर्टल के बारे में मुझे तो कोई डील नहीं करना पड़ता, लेकिन मेरे ऑफिस के लोग बतलाते हैं और चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स की मैं पोस्ट्स देखता हूं, उससे मुझे लगा कि ये वाकई हम सभी लोग बड़े त्रस्त हैं. और मैंने वहां पर मेरे मन में आइडिया आया, अपोलो हॉस्पिटल पर जब मेरी गाड़ी निकल रही थी, मैंने वहां से लिखना शुरू किया और साउथ एक्स तक पहुंचते पहुंचते मेरी कविता असेसमेंट एज ए कॉन्सेप्ट. I mean, we can keep on debating whether it is good or whether it is not so good. Even our chairman has said that when you are thinking to reintroduce physical hearing in respect of high, and SSCs in the sense that those who are declaring their income, substantial income. So we will have to, we must take into account our experiences of this change, of this modus. But I would say that earlier we used to appear in person before the physical assessing officer. Now, if the portal works, then we will appear before the computer and upload our replies to the faceless assessing officer. Much ado has been displayed by the government as if, some good scheme has been invented. It may be good, but I tell you, as a practicing lawyer and as a practicing chartered accountant, I can say that there is no much substantive difference between the physical mode of assessment and the machine mode of assessment. Because the substratum, the central, the focal point remains the same. And therefore, when I hear that there is a national faceless assessment center, there is a regional faceless assessment center, there are assessment unit, there are review unit, there are technical unit, there are verification unit, how does it matter? When if you see it from the perspective of an SSE, now SSE is concerned with the notice. That notice may have been drafted by any Tom, Dick and Harry, and then the SSE has to furnish his reply, and which earlier also SSE used to furnish his reply. Therefore, I always say, and again at the cost of repetitions, even today I would say, that let us not be carried away, and let us not be swayed by this change in the modicum, change in the modus operandi of the assessment process. And let us concentrate on the central point which was always central earlier and even now, and that is the quality of representation. Because the reply which you used to file earlier and which you will file now, there is not substantial change, except to this extent that now your reply must be quite speaking, and you must ensure to enclose all those evidences which you earlier used to produce or orally convince to the assessing officer. Now, since there is no face, therefore you must ensure that you prepare your pleading and you enclose your evidences faithfully, religiously, unreservedly, and then upload it if it can be uploaded. I mean, to be on the lighter side, I would say, and it should be uploaded so that these may ultimately be considered by the faceless assessing officer. So I will start my this deliberation on the practical aspects of the faceless assessment by saying that we must be aware with the law of pleading. And the law of pleading which was relevant then and which is relevant even now is that factual submissions, factual pleadings, factual averments, factual evidences on the points which have been asked by the assessing officer, they must be placed before the machine assessing officer. There should not be any lax, any negligence, any omission, any commission in observing this central point which I always emphasize. Because the factual pleadings, factual evidences, factual averment which you would place here, now that alone is liable to be considered by the assessing officer, if not by the assessing officer, by the appellate authority. Any factual submission which you do not make at this stage, or any factual evidence which you do not furnish at this stage, now is going to cost very dearly for the case and cause of your client. Because if later on you want to file it before the appellate authority, that evidence will technically be called as additional evidence, and the hands of the appellate authorities in admitting and considering the additional evidences are tied. Any evidence which we have furnished before assessing officer, we can as a matter of right ask the appellate authority to consider the impact, the effect of that evidence as a matter of right. But then any evidence which we have not furnished before assessing officer and which we now would like appellate authority to consider, first of all, we will have to make out a case by spending our energy as to why did we not file this evidence, why did we not produce this evidence before the assessing office. Because as I said a little while ago, that the appellate authority first of all will have to consider whether, if at all, he should look at this evidence or not. And therefore, on this aspect, first of all, he will have to pass an order. And once he admits it, then obviously, then he would like assessing officer to examine that evidence on merit, to conduct necessary inquiries in relation to that evidence. And then based upon the remand report, then the commissioner or the appellate authorities then will take a decision. So by withholding a particular evidence from the assessing officer, now you have caused a severe prejudice to the case and cause of your client. I always say that the chartered accountants are the master of facts, and therefore when I find deficiency on the part of we chartered accountants in presentation of facts, then it gives me a sense of, what should I say, anguish. I have seen many of my chartered accountants friends, now instead of submitting the evidences, instead of furnishing the factual pleadings, now fritter their energy on speaking or writing on law. I always say that the legal pleadings can always wait. You may not necessarily present them before the assessing officer, because even if you present them before the assessing officer, earlier before the physical assessing officer and now before the faceless assessing officer, my experience of 38 years is that no assessing officer of any form, whether made of bones or flesh like me and you, or whether made of chips in computers, is not going to be convinced. So when he's not going to be convinced, and you can fire your weapon of legal pleading at any stage, even before the appellate authority for the first time, even if you have not fired your salvo before the assessing officer, then I say that the legal pleadings can wait. Whether it's a pleading of jurisdiction, whether it is a pleading of limitation, whether it is a pleading on the validity of any notice. So if something is not valid, it will not become valid merely because you have not raised any objection. It will always remain invalid. It will always remain illegal, because there is a very important principle of law, and that principle of law is that there can be no estoppel against law, meaning thereby that even if I do not plead law, and if later stage I want to plead the law, then that higher authority cannot shut me out, cannot say, oh, since you did not raise this legal pleadings down below, therefore you are ousted, you are precluded, you are excluded from raising this. No, that is not open for that higher authority, because legal pleadings can always be raised at any stage. So those pleadings which can be raised at later stage, now if we practicing chartered accountants give precedence as compared to those factual pleadings which may not be argued or presented before the higher authority later on without the limitations, then I would say that representation, is deficient. Therefore, whether it is a faceless assessing officer, now why this faceless? Because they did not want to see our faces. Let them not see, even we are also not interested in seeing their faces. So if it is faceless proceeding, let it be faceless, but then we must do our duty as a practicing chartered accountant to bring facts on record, so that later on we have not to save our faces. As you see, the faceless assessment, the important stakeholder, that is the government, now is seeking the cover to save its face. As all of us know, the way the glitches, full of glitches this system is. And I don't expect, though I am quite optimist, but then the way the reports are pouring in, coming in social media as well as in the print media, for that matter electronic media, I have got my own reservations as to whether the deadline of 15th of September now given, I mean, for that company which is responsible for maintaining this portal has given assurance, whether would be able to keep its assurance. But anyway, I mean, we are not on that aspect. Obviously, when we are speaking on faceless, and therefore the problem which, I mean, we all are facing, have to be part of this deliberations. I mean, but then that is not the. So I am on this point, and again at the cost of, because according to me, since law of pleading is not taught to us in our chartered accountancy, whereas it is the central point of any representation, that evidences must be filed, must be placed, must be conveyed, must be argued before the court of original jurisdiction. And in the matter of assessment, in the matter of penalty, the court of the assessing officer, whether it was a physical court or whether it is a faceless court, now must be physical, I mean, this evidences must be produced. So if an assessing officer, faceless assessing officer, is asked to justify a particular expenditure, so you will have to prove not only the factum of that expenditure, bring evidence on record that what is the expenditure, what is the evidence of that expenditure, so that the very factum that you incurred that expense, that stands established. And the other thing which, since he has asked you to justify, so assessing officer has asked you to justify it on the touchstone of your business needs, whether this expenditure which has been incurred by you has been incurred wholly and exclusively for the purpose of your business. So what is the evidence which you are filing before him in order to establish this important facet? That here is the evidence which shows that this expenditure has got nexus with the business which I am carrying on. If it is a case of a commission, then sir, kindly see the evidences that this agent has procured orders. Now kindly see this agent has done or rendered this service, now which is evident from the various emails exchanged between me and that agent, or the agent and the third party, or me and the third party referring that agent. So evidences. So I always say that whatever evidences can be there, you must be after the blood of your assessee, because the assessee may not appreciate the importance of, even if it was in the assessee's interest, but then the assessee may not understand it. So you will have to be very persistent with him and then compel him to bring evidences, so that in turn you can bring those evidences on the record of the assessing officer. The second thing which is essential for the law of pleading is that you must know the law of the burden of proof. First of all, we must know about the law of pleading, but then this is very unfortunate that these important things are not taught to us in chartered accountancy. Though as a chartered accountant, I am required, I am expected, and I have been given statutory recognitions to represent my assessees before various statutory forums, and even till the stage of the appellate tribunal. But anyway, if Mukesh ji comes in the central council, I would urge that these important things which are essential in the field of representation, I mean, there must be something at some level of chartered accountancy so that at least the basic feel of the law. I mean, we are not taught the law of evidence, we are not taught the civil procedure code, but then all have got very direct, proximate, inextricable bearing on the representational duties of the jobs, I mean, which we undertake as chartered accountants. Anyway, so law burden of proof as to this has to be proved by whom? If this has to be proved by my SSE, then of course, whether you have been able to discharge that burden or not by leading the evidence. Because burden can be discharged in respect of a fact, and the fact has to be proved by you by leading certain evidences. Those evidences in the form of the direct and documentary evidences, or in the form of the circumstantial, or in the form of the combination of documentary and the circumstantial evidence. But then if, as a chartered accountant, I would not know that this burden of proof is on my SSE, then how would I make my pleadings on facts? How would I bring the relevant evidences on record? How would I ask and persist with my client? Sir, this evidence is essential for you to be out of this mess. So, burden of proof, because every act, our Income Tax Act is not an exception to it. The scheme of every act is that if it has to be proved, then it has to be proved by whom? If this has to be proved, then this has to be proved by them. Similarly, under the Income Tax Act also, it has to be proved by whom? So if an assessing officer, or for that matter, if an SSE has claimed certain deduction, if an SSE has claimed certain exemption, if an SSE has claimed certain rebates or relief or immunity or some kind of, what should I say, I mean some kind of relief, then the burden is on that SSE. It is the basic rule of the burden of proof. It will be for that SSE to come forward, not only to make a claim, but then to establish that he is entitled to this claim based upon these evidences. And similarly, if there is any receipt, if there is something else which is to be brought to tax, then the burden is on the shoulders of the assessing officer. But then there are certain burdens now which have been kept on the shoulders of the SSE under the provision of the Income Tax Act itself. Even if had that burden not been there under the Income Tax Act, then this burden would have been on the shoulders of the assessing officer. Like the moment there is any credit in my books of account, then section 68 of the Income Tax Act says that the burden to prove, otherwise, as I said, the general rule of burden of proof is that when a receipt which on the face of it is not in the nature of income is to be brought to tax, the burden normally would have been on the shoulders of the assessing officer. But then section 68 is an exception. Section 68 says that if there is any credit appearing in the books of account of yours, then the initial burden is on you to prove that this receipt is not your income. This is a negative burden. Therefore, if I am not aware about this law of burden, then how I would discharge? And I do not discharge, suppose. And later on, when the additions are made by the assessing officer on this ground, sir, this credit was there. I asked the SSE, but then the SSE did not discharge his burden, and therefore I deem it as income. Now you want to say it before the appellate authority, sir, now here is the evidence which says and shows that it is not my income. Then that appellate authority would say, no, you were asked, you were given opportunity, you were heard on this point, yet you chose to remain silent. And therefore, if you chose to remain silent, but now you want to be vocal before me. First of all, you satisfy me why you chose to be silent at that stage. Unless you convince me, I'll not see. I will not even look at what you are submitting. So, law of pleading, the law of burden of proof, now is something which was relevant then when we used to appear before assessing officer. This is the practical. And which is relevant, or rather more relevant now, because now there are no faithful assessing officers and faceless assessing officers. Therefore, we must bring our pleadings on facts, pleadings on evidences, or the evidences on record of the assessing officer. So there is no change on that score. That much I want to emphasize. I do emphasize. I'll keep on emphasizing that instead of going into the nitty-gritties or the fine nuances, which ultimately may not matter much. So I always say, when much halla-bulla is made, or halla-gulla is made, or has been made, has all along been made, you must have seen hundreds of webinars on this: faceless, faceless, faceless. Now, how does it matter? I ask a question to myself. How does it matter whether the notice is sent by the assessment unit through RFAC, from NFAC? How does it matter to me? So far as I'm concerned as an SSE, earlier also I used to receive a notice. Now I also receive a notice, and I am required to reply the same way as I used to do. Rather, now I must give, more robust reply on facts, must not be missing or found wanting in filing the evidences, because ultimately the fate of the case, will be decided having regard to what you have written, what you have filed and furnished. Therefore, on the practical aspect, there is not much difference. Rather, there is no difference. There is no meaningful difference. So, if as per section 144B, now if the first notice is given by the NFAC, giving me 15 days time, and there are no consequence in case I give reply on 16th day or 17th day, or how does it matter? It used to matter even then, and it remains the same. So what is so big about it which is sought to be made, by saying the faceless assessment? Yes, something now which is there in the faceless assessment is that if there is a variation, assessment unit will prepare a draft assessment order. Draft assessment order will not be given to me, will be given to the National Faceless Assessment Center. And if there is any variation, then qua that variation, the show cause will be issued by the NFAC. So earlier, physical assessing officers, though ought to have given me the show cause even then also, that is a different matter, they were not giving. But now under the scheme 144B itself, it has been made statutorily mandatory that the NFAC will issue me a show cause in case there is a variation proposed in the draft assessment order. And then if it is not given, then because of the non-compliance of a statutory mandate, then you must be seeing day in and day out the floodgates of the writs now which are being preferred. In my career of 38 years, 38 years, I have got a 360 degree profile of my career. First 16 years as chartered accountant, last 20 years as an advocate, 1 year as a member of the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, and of course in all these years as an SSE. I have not seen in my 38 years career of the different facets where in such large number the assessment orders have come to be challenged straightway before the High Court. And you see, when the principle of natural justice is flouted, and that principle of natural justice now has been made a part of section 144B, then of course the high courts, our constitutional courts, which are there to uphold the rule of law, and of course principle of natural justice, now forms a very important ingredient of the rule of law, now is flouted. Then the High Court says that we will not mince words, we will not mind in not exercising our extraordinary jurisdiction of issuing writs. And it had been seen. Now, when the notice has not been given, the show cause notice has not been given, or if given, the time has not been given adequate, or when there was lockdown, the hearing was fixed at that time. Now, I remember in one of my case which I had argued before the Delhi High Court. Now, as per even the board's advice to their assessing officer, that our portal now would remain under maintenance from 1st of June till 6th of June. And therefore, you kindly grant adjournments after 10th. Now, in that case, which I had an occasion to argue, the date was given on 7th. Now, what to say? Portal remaining in maintenance of 1st of June to 6th of June. I mean, it is in maintenance even today. And the assessing officer, who was overzealous, overindulgent, over-enthusiast, very proactive, very hyper. Now, he framed the assessment on 11th June. जितेंद्र भाई सुन रहे हैं? जितेंद्र भाई मेरी आवाज सुन रही है तो मुस्कुरा दो जरा, मुझे मालूम पड़े आप सुन रहे हैं. जितेंद्र गोयल जी, यस. सो जितेंद्र भाई ऑन, अरे भाई लाइट चली गई है मेरे यहाँ, तो हो सकता है ये कनेक्शन अभी चला जाए. हालांकि जनरेटर ऑन पे है, पता नहीं चला नहीं है. विनय भाई मैं देखता हूँ, अभी तो बैटरी की वजह से चल रहा है. यस, please hold on. So on 11th June, when that assessment order was passed, now what else? I mean, we could have done. Either we had opted for the route of appeal and had waited for outcome of that appeal by paying 20%, I mean, to avoid the coercive steps of recovery from the department. So we did not have any option but to knock at the door of the High Court, the Constitutional Court, by saying Trahimam Trahimam. And the court, I mean, when was apprised, and the court was pleased to strike it down. So these aberrations, I remember my Lord Justice Manmohan, on the very first day when he presided over the bench in Delhi High Court, he said that I have sit in tax bench a few months back, and then also, I mean, I had an occasion to see, I mean, these provisions, who have drafted them, whether the stakeholders were not involved in the drafting of these provisions. Who are the stakeholders? The SSCs, their representatives, chartered accountants, lawyers. And such kind of provisions have been made. Then obviously, when these provisions which are made in the statute are flouted tooth and nail by those who are responsible for their adherence, then obviously then the constitutional courts have to come very heavily. Anyway, so pleadings, I will say that nothing has changed. Therefore, let us not be swayed or get carried away by the different semantics. You know, it has become faceless. There is nothing big in faceless. So let us concentrate on the substance, and the substance is that the factual evidence, factual material, factual averment must be filed before the assessing officer without any fail, because anything which you file at this stage now will go a long way in getting your claim determined by the appellate authorities. Otherwise, I tell you, my guru told me when I started the practice as chartered accountant way back in 1984, and which is the biggest asset with me. And that asset I always intend to share with my fellow chartered accountants, that those, if you lead yourself in assessment to a situation whereby you are forced to move additional evidence before the appellate authority, then you take it that half of the battle is lost. Meaning thereby, whenever in any show cause notice, in any notice under section 142(1), if an assessing officer has asked something, then bare your chest, burden the file of the assessing officer with the factual evidences. You visualize as to what can he do with that kind of a question. You anticipate that where would he land, and thereby what can be the evidences which can be there with you, accumulate them, assimilate them, present them, and then even if he ignores them, he bulldozes them, or if he trashes them, let him do, because we have got the robust appellate system, if not before the first appellate authority, but at least before the income tax appellate tribunal, which is a wonderful institution created by the government of the day to create this institution out of the Ministry of Finance and to make it as a part under the Ministry of Law with a purpose, because the Ministry of Finance now has got, or is one of the litigants, is the litigant, and therefore to create this tribunal outside the Ministry of Finance, it's such a wonderful thought. That compels me to say that if there is a justice in this country, it is at that level. So on this point, we must. Then one thing which we must, if an assessing officer has asked once, his duty is over. Now thereafter, then you cannot be heard saying, sir, he asked 4 months back and thereafter several dates have started, several dates were given, we furnished whole lots of evidences in case, that evidence which he asked 4 months back was so material and important, then he at least could have repeated his request or his requirement. No. Once he has asked, his duty is over. Then if you gloss over it, if you sleep over it, if you choose to remain silent on it, then you are doing it at your own peril. Therefore, we must be quite clear that even if the faceless assessing officer in one of its notice has asked once, then their duty is over. Now, the next thing which has also not changed and very practical is that when the adverse statements, or even prior to that, one important. Now, some evidence which is material for establishing your claim now somehow is not possessed by you. And it is not possessed by you for the reason that it is in the control of somebody else. And that person who is in the control of this is not in your control. He may not be extending cooperation to you. Vinay, can you please switch off your camera? Yes. Because if I was on the aspect, yes. Now, if some evidence are not in your possession and control, and they are in the possession and control of somebody else, and that somebody else is not in your control, you can request the assessing officer to exercise his powers of seeking that information for you, and that is permissible in law, provided you mention the facts and circumstances because of which you find yourself handicapped. And I tell you, today at about 4 p.m., about 1 hour prior when this webinar began, now I exercised and I made it a point at that time that I will touch upon this aspect. Now, some show cause notice you must have read in the newspapers. A couple of months back, that the High Court of Delhi came very heavily, initiated CBI inquiry. In respect of one case. So, that case, was being represented by me at some stage. So, after the department seeking apology in the court through the additional solicitor general, the matter was sent back to the assessing officer, and then the assessing officer issued us the notice, the reply to which I was dictating. Now, there are certain credits appearing in our books of account, now which the other parties are not willing to part with the information. So what can we do? So I remember then I dictated the reply requesting the assessing officer, sir, that party now is a company which is evident by this fact that we have uploaded the details from the MCA's website. Now we wrote mails to them, they are not responding, they are not in our control. Now you kindly, this is their address, this is their balance sheet which we have uploaded from, which we have downloaded from MCA's website. Now you kindly exercise your powers and ask for, in our books of account, whatever is the copy of account, we are enclosing it there. Now you kindly exercise your power to demand it from the other party, and if there are any expense required to be deposited by us, kindly let us know so that we can deposit it. Now I have shifted my burden, which otherwise was on my shoulders as per the scheme of the act, on the shoulders of the assessing officer. Now if an assessing officer in his wisdom now does not show his indulgence, chooses to sit over my request, then later on, now he cannot come forward and then blame me. The blame in this regard cannot be fastened at my door. It will be for the assessing officer now to collect that evidence, because I have made a request. He has been emboldened by the law. He has been given this power by the law. So this is a very important pleading now which you must exercise. Even this is the practical aspect. Even the faceless assessment we used to exercise then, but then nothing has changed, even if the modus or the modicum of representation now may have changed from physical to faceless. The next practical thing which I always say, and when I'm saying that I am speaking practical, because the topic which has been given now is also the practical aspect. All those things are theoretical aspect, that there will be NFAC, RFAC, assessment unit, verification, they are all theoretical. What is hardcore practical in assessment, irrespective of whether it is headed by a headless assessing officer or a headful assessing officer? Many times, even this faceless assessing officer would shoot us a notice in which he would make some reference of some material which either he or some of his ACA or some other agencies may have collected, and based upon that then he wants to give us the show cause. I must ask, as a natural reaction, Sir, you are referring something, but then kindly share it with me. I am entitled to be shared, to be sharing this. Because when you are using something which has been collected at my back, I am entitled to know. So, mere knowledge is not enough. You will have to part with the copy of that evidence verbatim, because the reference and context, the background or the foreground of that evidence is material, and unless that evidence is seen holistically, it can lead to the miscarriage of justice. It can lead to the distorted interpretation. Therefore, when assessing officer, let us talk of the faceless assessing officer, in one of its notices refers certain extracts of some document or extracts of some statements, that should not satisfy you as a representative or as an assessee. You must ask, sir, you are extracting a portion of something which you are using against me, but I would like to have the copy of the complete document, complete material, complete statement. Only then I would be in a position to appreciate that evidence which is sought to be used against me in an holistic manner. If I do not ask for it and venture to give reply, I tell you that there may well be a case which may ultimately cost you very dearly. Because if you see an evidence in its complete form and then reply, when you see a document or evidence in part and then reply, it can bring sea change. Therefore, practical aspect of assessment, even in the faceless scheme or faceless regime, is that you must ask that faceless assessing officer that mere quoting the excerpts or portion, would not satisfy either me or the law. And therefore, you kindly show me, part with and share it with me in its entirety, so as to enable me to reply your show cause effectively, efficiently, and efficaciously. Must do. The next practical thing in assessment, that if some statement has been referred of somebody who assessing officer claims to have spoken dirt against you. Against you means against your assessee. Ask for the copy. Ask for the copy. And not only do you ask for the copy, but then you bring it on record your acute desire not only to see the face of the deponent, but then to cross-examine that deponent. After all, a person who has spoken so dirt about your assessee now would like to be compelled to be before your eyes, and not only before your eyes, but then he must be made to prepare, or he must be prepared to face a volley of questions from you in the form of cross-examination, so that the inconsistencies, the contradictions, the truth and the lies may come on record. And since that deponent, that witness is the witness of the assessing officer, because it is the assessing officer, and it is the assessing officer who is seeking to place reliance on such a witness, then he is the witness not of the assessing, he is the witness of the assessing officer. And therefore, when he is the witness of the assessing officer, the affected party would like to cross-examine him, and either the assessing officer does not produce him before you, or even if assessing officer wants to produce him, but then that deponent does not come forward, then the entire dirty is spoken. The adverse statement given by the deponent, by witness, now will have to be ignored. That is what the law is. Anybody can speak anything at my back, does not want to face me, then obviously such kind of a witness, cannot be trusted. Therefore, if as the representative of my SSE, even if I may be representing before the faceless assessing officer, do not ask for the cross-examination. It is a very, I always say, cross-examination is a very valuable right. But then this right is on demand. Right is there. It is hanging in the air. But then you must crave for it. If you crave for it, only then it will be given. And your craving must come in writing. Your craving must not remain within the four corners of your heart and brain. It must come by way of your pen on the paper. So nothing has changed. Even if the modus or modicum of representation may have changed, instead of physical assessing officer, now the faceless assessing officer, but then this hardcore practical tips have not changed. Let us, again I will say at the cost of repetition, let us not be swayed, let us not get carried away, let us not be swept away by sheer use of the different semantics. Oh, it has become faceless. Nothing, there is nothing big in the faceless. And instead of hearing all those kind of things in the faceless, let us concentrate. Let us not lose sight from the core, from the hardcore, from the vocal, focal, central point of these practical tips. Now, books of accounts are a very important piece of evidence. Write in your letter. Sir, books of accounts are maintained, are capable of being produced as and when desired. Now, by writing this, even then, when we used to appear before assessing officer and even now, very material, very important, very practical. Nothing has changed. Whether it was faithful, whether it was fanciful, or whether it is faceless. Nothing has changed. Now, yes, one thing is there in this faceless, that in case show cause is given when the National Faceless Assessment Center, on the receipt of draft assessment order from the assessment unit, now sees that there is a variation, then show cause notice is bound to be given. And while replying that show cause, then you can demand a video conference. Your right to demand hearing through video conference will be there when you are issued show cause notice on the proposed variation. Prior to that, you don't have any right to be heard through video conferencing. So that aspect has to be borne in mind. That is, of course, some change as compared to the physical scheme or physical mode of assessment. So when you are giving reply to the show cause notice, you demand, sir, kindly give me the hearing through video conference. Though I am a strong votary or the believer that nothing much would change, even if, you demand the video conference hearing, even if you are heard through video conference, the hearts will not melt. So when the hearts will not melt, but then you ask for the video conferencing, and in case they do not give, then it will give rise you to straightway knock at the door of the High Court. Because when you asked for the hearing through video conference and it is not given, though it is a mandate now under the statute in section 144B, then the courts say that it is a classic case of the violation of the principle of natural justice, and constitutional courts are very particular where the natural justice comes to be violated. So to that extent, there is a change. But if you ask me in the heart of my hearts, even if you ask hearing through the video conference, I mean, on the ground, even if that hearing is granted through the video conference, nothing is going to happen. Now, penalty proceedings, even the penalty now have become faceless. Now, in penalty proceedings, you have got a very strong defense, and the defense is that if there is a default, either the default has not been committed, so you would say the default has not been committed, then you would prove, sir, how can you say that the default has been? But then in case, if you also agree that the default has been committed, loan has been accepted in cash in violation of section 269 SS, example, or loan has been repaid in cash in violation of section 269T, or you accepted a sum of rupees 2 lakhs or more in aggregate from a person in a day in respect of a single transaction, or in respect of the transactions involving one single event or occasion from a person. Otherwise, then through the banking mode, then 269 ST, there are penalty provisions, corresponding penalty provisions. You have not deducted the tax, or even if though you deducted, but then you short deducted, penalty 271 capital C, or there are several penalties. That day, my partner Somil, he told me that out of 298 sections, there are 46 penalties. So now you can very well imagine that our Income Tax Act now is full of penalties. But then for most of the penalties, there is a defense, and the defense is that you'll have to prove reasonable cause. Because section 273 capital B says that no penalty shall be imposed under all these sections which are listed in section 273B if you establish or you prove that there was a reasonable cause for the default. But then there was a reasonable cause is something which is dependent upon the facts. Suppose if I have not got my books of accounts audited, then though this is a cause, but then I know what has been the reason for that cause. I am supposed to know. If I have accepted cash loan, then it is I who would know that what compelled me to raise loan in cash despite there being section 269 SS staring at my face. I must know. And therefore, a reasonable cause will have to be proved. Burden of proof. A reasonable cause will have to be proved by whom? By the SSE. And if SSE does not prove before the authority who imposes penalty, despite the law asking him to prove, and now wants to prove it before the appellate authority would say, भाई मैं क्यों सुनूं? आपको वहां सुनाना चाहिए था, वहां प्रूव करना चाहिए था, ये एविडेंस वहां लीड करना चाहिए था. I'll not listen. Who is responsible for this mess? And I tell you, मैं कितने केसेस देखता हूं अपने प्रोफेशनल कैरियर में जहां हमारे चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट मित्र मास्टर ऑफ फैक्ट्स होने के बावजूद रीजनेबल कॉज एस्टेब्लिश नहीं करते. असेसिंग ऑफिसर के सामने या जॉइंट कमिश्नर के सामने या उस अथॉरिटी के सामने जो पेनल्टी लगाने के लिए आपको नोटिस देता है। Reasonable cause. I will have to prove that there is a cause and this cause is a reasonable cause. Now somebody can wonder, can any cause be the reasonable cause? Or which are the factors which would make a cause to be a reasonable cause? I always define a reasonable cause in an abstract manner. And that manner is that any cause, kindly listen my words very carefully, any cause which when explained to a person who is a person of an ordinary prudence, if he is a person of an extraordinary prudence, we are not talking of it. Law always says that you have to judge it as if you are a person of an ordinary prudence. So when that cause explained to a person of an ordinary prudence, and that person of an ordinary prudence, after hearing that cause, now is compelled to think that if this is the cause, then this benefit should be given to him. Then you have crossed the threshold of the reasonable cause, I would say. And I tell you, and it has been my experience. It has been my experience, and you kindly try, you also must have tried in a professional career, that whenever a default is committed by your client, you discuss that default with your client. And your client would tell by bearing his chest, of course, by not withholding the things. Sir, this was the reason. If I have not deducted the tax, or after deducting I have not paid the tax, then this was because of this reason. That person has fled, that accountant had left abruptly. You will find, if I have not, or my firm has not got the books of accounts audited, there was intense fighting and litigations amongst the partners which held up this work. So this is for the reason that nobody wants to commit default for the sake of pleasure. Defaults just happen because of something, and that because of something is the cause. Here that something which is a cause from that SSE, and then kindly see evolve, that cause becomes the reasonable cause. Bring it in writing. Prove it with evidence. Evidence may be the direct or documentary evidence. The evidence may be the circumstantial evidence. I always say that the documents may be forged, but the circumstances, they cannot be forged. Circumstances are like the innocent children. They will speak the truth. You cannot compel the circumstances to speak something else. But then, if you are so intelligent enough that you compel even the circumstances to speak something else, I mean, then the benefit, why should it not be granted? Then it should be granted. But then, circumstances are very hard to be maneuvered, managed, manipulated. That is what my take is. So I think the buzzword, the central theme of today's discussion of mine is practical aspects, no change virtually, whether it is a physical hearing or whether it is virtual hearing. And I have given, enough points, which are of practical importance to all of you. If there are questions, then I would be pleased to take them, because no webinar or seminar can be considered to be successful unless the questions of the participants are resolved. I tell you, one day, Shri Pramod Jain, the Central Council member, now me and he both were taking one webinar for 3 hours on Form 3CA only and 44AB. Now, after completion of deliberations, we found there are lots of questions. There were about 4,000 participants in that seminar, in the webinar. Then I suggested to Jain Sahab, ki let us make a 3 hours program only to redress the questions. And I tell you, there were 700 questions. We could answer approximately 300 odd questions. So the questions are very important link between the speaker and the audience. And I would like to enjoy that connect or connection or the linkage or the bridge between me and my audience. So if there are questions, Vinay ji, we would take, or if some participants have raised hands, then you can bring them, and then yes.
Thank you, Bhaisar.
Okay. Yes.
Pushpa ji, please.
तो चैट में तो कोई क्वेश्चंस नहीं है.
चैट में तो सर मेरी एक रिक्वेस्ट थी.
हाँ.
जिस तरह से अभी ये गवर्नमेंट ने 15 सितंबर तक साइट के लिए इन्फोसिस को टाइम दिया है. इन द मीन टाइम हमारी इंटरेस्ट की मीटर डाउन है गवर्नमेंट का, और साइट नहीं चल रही है. इसकी वजह से दिक्कत है. तो आगे गेट बढ़नी भी चाहिए.
मेरे ख्याल में तो बढ़ेगी. और
30 जून वाला भी लॉट पूरा नहीं हुआ है.
हाँ, अभी
फिर सितंबर
31 अगस्त को जो ट्रस्ट वाला भी जो है वो भी बढ़ेगा.
प्रॉब्लम रही.
हाँ, नहीं प्रॉब्लम, अपलोड हो ही नहीं पा रहे हैं, इतनी प्रॉब्लम्स आ रही हैं, तो वो तो करना पड़ेगा. लेकिन अब असेसमेंट की डेट जो कहां से कहां ले आए, अब 30 सितंबर के बाद भी इस ग्राउंड पर बढ़ाएंगे तो बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा. इट कट्स बोथ वेज.
नहीं, इसमें फॉर्म 10 फाइल करने में दिक्कत, उसको वेरिफिकेशन में दिक्कत, सारी चीजें कुछ ना कुछ प्रॉब्लम. 3-4 बार एफर्ट्स करने से किसी का हो जाए तो बहुत लकी है.
हाँ, बहुत लकी.
जमा नहीं होता.
जी हाँ, जी हाँ,
कभी कोई प्रॉब्लम आ जाती है, कभी कोई प्रॉब्लम आ जाती है.
वेरी राइट, यू आर राइट, वेरी राइट. बिकॉज आई हैव बीन टोल्ड बाय माय ऑफिस कि मैंने तो खैर आज अपने ऑफिस में फोन किया, और इस वजह से फोन किया कि भाई अब आप ये बताओ कि आपको इसको अपलोड करने में क्या क्या दिक्कत हो रही है. तो मेरा ऑफिस बोला, सर आपको क्या जरूरत, आप पढ़ी ये पूछने की. तो मैंने कहा भाई कल मैंने कविता जो लिखी थी वो पोर्टल के लिए लिखी थी, और आज मैंने एक कविता लिखी है जो शायद मैं आज भेजूंगा या कल भेजूंगा, वो मैंने करदाता की तरफ से लिखी है. और करदाता को क्या क्या परेशानियां हो रही हैं उसको मैं एक कवि के रूप में उसको अभिव्यक्त करना चाहता हूं. और उस कविता का जो शीर्षक मैंने दिया है, करदाता की करहा, और करहा में है कर और आहा. करदाता के कर में करहा में कर भी है और आहा भी हो, तो कर से आहा है. प्रेम से उपजा होगा गान. आपने सुना होगा कि जो कवि बनता है, तो किसी ने कहा था कि कोई प्रेम में रहा होगा कवि, वहां से उपजा होगा गान, तभी कवि बना है. तो इस तरह से करदाता कैसे करदाता बना, कर से निकली है आहा.
इसलिए करदाता बना. इसलिए सर कर की वजह से आहा निकलती है तो हमारा प्रोफेशन चलता है. हमें याद आती है उनकी आज से ही प्रोफेशन चल रहा है. रिक्वेस्ट कमेंट किया कि भाई हमारा जीएसटी ऑडिट में डिले हुआ रिप्रेजेंट करने, बट एमसीए के साथ जो स्मॉल कंपनी के लिए मैं देख रहा हूँ सोशल मीडिया पे ट्वीट और व्हाट्सएप आ रहा है कि एमसीए ऐसा कोई डिसीजन लेने जा रहा है कि स्मॉल कंपनी की ऑडिट ना हो. तो अल्टीमेट प्रोफेशन को बहुत डैमेजिंग है, बट वी हैव टू डू समथिंग. इस बार जो इस साल ये 3 साल निकले हैं बहुत ही प्रोफेशन के लिए डैमेजिंग रहे, चाहे जीएसटी ऑडिट हो, बैंक ऑडिट के रिफॉर्म जो चेंजेस आए उसमें उसकी वजह से प्रॉब्लम आई है, या फिर हमारे टैक्स ऑडिट में जो लिमिट इनहांस की, और वो एक बहुत बड़ा इम्पैक्ट प्रोफेशन पे पड़ा है. हम किसी को अपने आप को कैसे भी सेटिस्फाई करें, और अल्टीमेट मेंबर एट लार्ज देखेंगे तो कहीं ना कहीं ये चीजें प्रोफेशन को खराब करती हैं, डैमेज करती हैं। और जबकि हमारे चेयरमैन पीडीसी या हमारे कमेटी काउंसिल का ये ड्यूटी होती है कि गवर्नमेंट के साथ लाइजनिंग करते रहे और गवर्नमेंट के पास जाए बार बार, और जबकि उल्टा हो रहा है, गवर्नमेंट के पास न जाके और दूसरे कामों में लगे हुए हैं, जो मेंबर्स को शायद कम दिखाई दे रहे हैं, पर देखना चाहिए मेंबर को कि कौन क्या कर रहा है और उसके ऊपर वॉच रखनी चाहिए। एक विकास चौधरी जी का एक क्वेश्चन है, while uploading the document evidence by mistake, document of another assessee was uploaded. What is the remedy available? Wrong submission of a document हो गया है। तो मेरे यही सुझाव है कि उसको रेक्टिफाई करें और अपनी क्वेरी वहां नोट करा के उसको डॉक्यूमेंट को फिर से रिप्रेजेंट कर दें। डेट के लिए तो फॉर्म 10 भाई साहब ने भी कहा है कि हाँ होना चाहिए, फॉर्म 10A का प्रॉब्लम आ रही है तो डेफिनेटली इज ए बिग प्रॉब्लम। 31 अगस्त अब जाने वाला है, लास्ट डेट 31 अगस्त है। 3-4 बार में अगर किसी को हो जाए तो ही इज वेरी हैप्पी कि हाँ मेरा काम हो गया, पर बहुत पूरा 1-2 दिन लग जाते हैं। आज आपने 2 काम कर लिए, मालूम पड़ा तीसरे काम में आप अटक गए, तो ये जनरल प्रॉब्लम आ रही है। मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है पार्टिसिपेंट से, अगर कोई इस फेसलेस स्कीम के बारे में कोई क्वेश्चंस हैं अपना रेज हैंड कर दें तो डायरेक्टली हम उनको अनम्यूट करके ही कैन आस्क हिज क्वेश्चन डायरेक्टली टू आवर स्पीकर राकेश गुप्ता जी, या चैट बॉक्स में लिखेंगे, क्वेश्चन आंसर में लिखेंगे। तो एक ये मुकेश कोहली जी का क्वेश्चन है। मुकेश जी, देयर इज अ व्यू ऑफ इन द सीए फर्टिनिटी दैट आवर CCM आर नॉट पुटिंग द पॉइंट बिफोर द गवर्नमेंट properly. That is why we are facing this problem. Tax audited company. I do agree, sir. I know because the fact, but what to do in this case, because I am not in the council, but if I will be there, then definitely there are few council member who are capable to directly connect to the ministry of the government. तो अगर कोई वहां तक पहुंचने की उसका होता नहीं है और उसको बात नहीं कर सकते किसी मंत्री को, किसी को, तो डेफिनेटली दे आर नॉट एबल टू कन्विंस देम। मुझे याद है एक जब डिमोनेटाइजेशन पे हमारी कंटिन्यूस मीटिंग होती थी पीयूष जी से, जो बैंक ऑडिट का आपको ये सुनने को मिला होगा काफी जगह कि भाई अगर ये इंस्टीट्यूट का जो सॉफ्टवेयर है अगर रन करेगा बैंक, तो हमारे MD क्या है, ED क्या है, कोई भी चाहेगा तो कोई फेवर नहीं चलेगा। ये चीजें आम हो गई थी कि भाई अगर हमारे बैंक में सॉफ्टवेयर यूज हुआ अलॉटमेंट के लिए, बैंक ब्रांच ऑडिट के लिए, तो हम अप्रोच नहीं कर पाएंगे। पर जिस तरह से अभी ये कोलैप्स हुआ सिस्टम लास्ट 2 ईयर में, कि वो सॉफ्टवेयर का यूटिलाइजेशन कम किया इन्होंने बिकॉज ऑफ देयर पर्सनल इंटरेस्ट, तो हमें ये देखने की जरूरत है कि एक अच्छा सिस्टम था उसको खत्म किया गया, और ये सारा सिस्टम केवल और केवल पीयूष गोयल जी की एफर्ट से। उन्होंने रात को 11 बजे जो मिस्टर RBI गवर्नर थे उनको फोन किया, बोले ये कम्युनिटी हमारे लिए बहुत काम करती है, चाहे VDIs को सोसाइटी को एजुकेट करने में रहा हो या डिमोनेटाइज में जिस तरह से हमारी मदद कर रहे हैं, मैं चाहता हूं कि ये काम हमें करना है। ये पीयूष के फोन पे वर्ड्स थे, और बोले इनको आप मीटिंग का टाइम दो, और विद इन अ वीक मीटिंग हुई, और नेक्स्ट वीक से वो RBI का सर्कुलर आ गया कि ये सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टीट्यूट का है, और बैंक को हमने प्रेजेंटेशन देने शुरू किए। तो लास्ट टू लास्ट ईयर तक हम 70-80% बैंकों को ये सॉफ्टवेयर यूटिलाइजेशन के लिए उनको रिक्वेस्ट की और उन्होंने माना, तो ये हमें पॉजिटिव रिस्पांस मिला। पर हमारी ही काउंसिल की लापरवाही से ये सारी चीजें खराब हुई इस बार। देयर इज अनदर 10A के बारे में 22-23 एक्नॉलेजमेंट। सर ये जनरल प्रॉब्लम है, 10A हो या रिटर्न फॉर्म हो, आप अपलोड कर देंगे, वेरीफाई भी हो जाएगा, आप OTP से उसको वेरीफाई भी कर देंगे, तो भी उसका रिटर्न का एक्नॉलेजमेंट निकलने में दिक्कत आ रही है। ये कई फ्रंट पे प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, डॉक्यूमेंट अटैच करने में भी प्रॉब्लम आ रही है। तो साइट के बारे में तो अभी कुछ भी कमेंट करना बहुत मुश्किल है, देखेंगे 15 सितंबर तक या उससे पहले इन्फोसिस शायद उसको ओवरकम कर ले, और 15 सितंबर तक नहीं होती तो गवर्नमेंट क्या स्टेप लेगी आई डोंट नो। बट जिस तरह से गवर्नमेंट ने कहा कि भाई हमने समन कर दिया, तो हाउ द पर्सन कैन बी समन्ड बाय ए मिनिस्ट्री फॉर मीटिंग ऑन कप और टी और कॉफी? Is this the pleasant summon? I appreciate definition of summon may be changed in the eyes of the law. The same type of summon need to be sent to by the criminals by the banks or court as concerned, various judiciary bodies as concerned. Sir, what is your view about the summon as concerned?
मुझसे पूछ रहे हैं?
Yes, भाई साहब.
I'm sorry. Please, क्या? Would you please
अभी
repeat?
समन करके हमने ट्वीट सुना था, पढ़ा था बहुत कि मिनिस्ट्री ने एफएम ने समन करके बुला लिया इन्फोसिस के डायरेक्टर को.
हाँ.
तो समन को चाय कॉफी पे बुलाने के लिए समन करना पड़ता है. कोर्ट वगैरह समन कैसे करते हैं? पुलिस कैसे समन करके?
नहीं, that
रिकवरी ऑफिसर कैसे समन करते हैं?
that was
फ्रेमवर्क में समन का मीनिंग क्या है? लेट हमारे मेंबर्स को समझ में तो आए.
नहीं, that was not
समन टू दैट जेंटलमैन.
That was not legal summon, that was administrative summon.
चलिए सर, हमारे पास अभी कोई क्वेश्चंस नहीं है और हम इसको समाप्त करने से पहले आपसे आपकी एक कविता रह गई भाई साहब.
अच्छा.
वो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट एजेंडा था हमारा. उसके बाद मैं राकेश मदान साहब है, पास्ट चेयरमैन जबलपुर ब्रांच, उनको रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा और विनय जी से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि उनको वीडियो ऑन करके और अनम्यूट कर दें को होस्ट बना के. तो वोट ऑफ थैंक्स के लिए.
भाई किसका नाम ले रहे
और
हो?
हमारे साथ बीच में अमरेश वशिष्ठ जी हैं, अरविंद गौर पास्ट चेयरमैन ग्वालियर हैं और गोविंद साहब हैं. इनको भी रिक्वेस्ट रहेगी कि वर्ड ऑफ विजडम के लिए दो शब्द वो कहें. तो उससे पहले मैं भाई साहब से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा उनकी कविता के लिए.
देखो, मैं आज
कश्मीर के एनवायरनमेंट पे लिखी थी कभी.
दूसरी कविता सुनाता हूँ
सर. उसकी चाहत हमेशा रहेगी.
वो बहुत लोगों ने सुनी हुई होगी.
नहीं,
तो इसलिए
फिर भी वो केसर की
what he is doing. What he is doing. Anuj Goyal was he doing. They are crushing the ordinary members. They are not anticipating the cost which the ordinary member is increasing by these shutdowns. Why they are not calling me Mr. Sitaraman? What is happening? Every day they are extending. What is the extension? 90% Chattogram doesn't know what is the extension and which is the last date for what. This is all my submissions to Shri Mukesh Kushwaha and to Shri Vinay Mittal. Raise their hand. It's the right time for the profession. Otherwise, profession is going to be collapsed, has already been collapsed. Thank you. My apologies.
आपकी भावनाओं को भाई साहब हम कद्र करते हैं और उनको ध्यान में रखते हुए हम काम कर रहे हैं और आगे भी करते रहेंगे. पहले भी किया है. मुझे याद है जब मैं रीजनल काउंसिल चेयरमैन था, लिमिट 3 करोड़ से बैंक ऑडिट की 10 करोड़ कर दी गई थी. मैं और राजेश शर्मा जी मिनिस्ट्री में गए, डीके मित्तल जी को मिले, उस समय मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस को मिले और वो 3 करोड़ 6 करोड़ रुपए लेके हमने.
The returns which I should have filed before 31st July. It has been filed by I'll be filed to 30th September. Will pay my 2 months cost. Client is saying corona. जब आप अपनी cost fees कम करिए और आप लोग हमारे इंस्टीट्यूट कुछ नहीं कर रहा है, सो रहा है. It's just sleeping. Sorry to say me. I'm seeing this institute from last 50 years where many of the members might not have born even. I passed out in 71. What the institute is doing? Nothing. The institute is not doing anything. Institute is making a fun and fooling the members. Sorry, my apologies to the host and co-host both, and Rakesh also, and my regards.
आपकी फीलिंग को ध्यान में रखते हुए भाई साहब हम काम कर रहे हैं और आगे भी करते रहेंगे. पहले भी किया है और आपके दर्द को हमें एहसास है. आपकी तरह हर मेंबर का दर्द है. ये सेशन समाप्त करने से पहले मैं चेयरमैन सेशन भार्गव साहब को रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि वो अपने स्पेशल कमेंट्स दें और इसको कंक्लूड करें. और उसके बाद हमारे अमरेश जी हैं, अरविंद गौर जी हैं, और भी कोई मेंबर कुछ कहना चाहता है तो उसकी भी हम रिक्वेस्ट रहेगी कि वो इनफॉर्मली हमसे कुछ भी बात कर सकते हैं, अपने विचार रख सकते हैं. ये ओपन मंच आप सभी के लिए है. भार्गव साहब.
धन्यवाद. सबसे पहले तो मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा राकेश भाई को कि इतना सुंदर सेशन उन्होंने, इतनी सुंदर बातें बताई हैं certainly we have added lot to our knowledge and wisdom. Or now we will work, though our mind will work, but behind that mind of Rakesh Bhai will work. Such a wonderful session. दूसरी बात, अब मैं देख रहा हूं कि हमारे इंस्टीट्यूट को प्रोफेशनल राइट्स के लिए एग्रेसिव होना पड़ेगा. अब यू कैन नॉट रिमेन पैसिव सो फार एज योर राइट्स एंड ड्यूटीज आर कंसर्न एज वेल. मेरा तो ये सबसे अनुरोध है कि हमारे मुकेश कुशवाहा साहब को हमें सेंट्रल काउंसिल में जरूर भेजना है, क्योंकि मैं शुरू से ही देख रहा हूँ, आज से नहीं 20 साल से. ही हैज बीन अ फाइटर फॉर ए नोबल कॉज विदाउट एनी एक्सपेक्टेशन ऑफ एनी काइंड. सेल्फलेस सर्विस करने वालों में है. तो मेरे सबसे ये फर्वेंट अपील है कि हमारे मुकेश भाई को, कुशवाहा जी को जिताएं और सेंट्रल काउंसिल में भेजें, जिससे ये प्रोफेशन के लिए जो हम लोग नहीं सोच सकते वो भी ये करें. ये मेरा सबसे अनुरोध है. और आज सब पार्टिसिपेंट्स को मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहूँगा कि उन्होंने इतनी बड़ी संख्या में पार्टिसिपेट किया और जो हमारे इंटरनेशनल स्पीकर हैं उनको सुना, उससे हम सबका मान सम्मान बढ़ा. मैं इन शब्दों के साथ सबको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूँ. बैक टू विनय भाई.
थैंक यू भाई साहब. परमादाड़िया गोविंद साहब ने बिल्कुल ठीक कहा कि क्यों ऐसा, क्या रीजंस हो रहा है कि क्या प्रोफेशनल जो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट जो दिवाली होली नहीं मनाता है, जो जब हम प्रोफेशन का कोर्स करते हैं दिवाली होली हम नहीं करते हैं, उसके बाद ऐसा क्या रीजन हो रहा है कि हम 9 में ठीक करते हैं, कहते हैं 9C में आपने करेक्शंस नहीं करा. मैं सरकार की नहीं बात कर रहा हूँ, या तो हम प्रॉपर अपना चैनल सरकार में बता नहीं पा रहे हैं कि 9 में करेक्शंस हो गए, 9 में नहीं हुआ. अब कंपनी का ऑडिट आया कि कंपनी का एक मैसेज जा रहा है एमसीए से कि आपका यदि इतनी टर्नओवर कम है, 2 करोड़ रुपए आपकी कैपिटल, अब 20 करोड़ की यदि टर्नओवर है तो उसके साथ कॉर्पोरेट ऑडिट नहीं होगा. मैं सरकार से पूछना चाहता हूँ, क्या आपके पास इतना एनफ स्टाफ है कि आप ये सारी चेकअप कर पाएंगे? नहीं कर पाएंगे तो फिर यदि एक प्रोफेशनल को आप यदि किसी प्रोफेशनल को किसी काम से हटाएंगे तो उसका रिजल्ट अच्छा नहीं हो पाएगा. हम एक इंजीनियर अपॉइंट करते हैं, उसकी कुछ फीस पे करते हैं, जो स्ट्रक्चर हमारा आता है, जो इंटीरियर हमारा आता है, वो शायद वंडरफुल होता है. जब लोग आते हैं कहते हैं इतना बढ़िया वंडरफुल सिस्टम है. तो जो प्रेजेंट सिस्टम हमारा बना हुआ है, जो प्रोफेशन बना हुआ, उसमें यदि हम कोई परेशानी कर रहे हैं तो निश्चित ही वो जो हम 5 ट्रिलियन की, जो परम आदरणीय मोदी जी का सपना है 5 ट्रिलियन, वो 5 ट्रिलियन एक चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट प्रोफेशन को इन्वॉल्वमेंट करके तो हो सकता है. अदरवाइज नहीं हो सकता कि आप टैक्स प्रैक्टिशनर को आप हटा दें, उसके बिना तो संभव नहीं हो पाएगा. मैं गोविंद साहब से बिल्कुल सहमत हूँ कि ये कहीं ना कहीं हमारी वॉइस उठ नहीं पा रही है, बिल्कुल नहीं उठ पा रही है. और यदि 71, मैं गोविंद साहब से बहुत ही परिचित हूँ ज़्यादा ही, वो निश्चित नॉर्मली शांत नेचर में रहते हैं. आज मैंने पहली बार शायद उनमें देखा है कि उन्होंने कुछ अपनी बातें रखी हैं, फर्स्ट टाइम इन द. तो निश्चित है कि हमारी कहीं ना कहीं वॉइस, हम डिफेंसिव हो गए थोड़ा सा, जैसे भी सुनील भाई साहब ने भी कहा, हमें थोड़ा सा अट्रैक्टिव खेलना पड़ेगा. और निश्चित ही, और हम, मैं एक छोटी सी अपील अपनी तरफ से भी कह रहा हूँ कि मैं 1.5 साल से मुकेश भाई के साथ लगा हुआ हूँ. मैं सेल्फ अपना इंटेंशनली मैंने अपना रीजनल सेंट्रल काउंसिल का इलेक्शन ड्रॉप करा कि मैं सेंट्रल काउंसिल का इलेक्शन नहीं लड़ रहा हूँ, और फिर सेल्फ मैं अपनी कुशवाहा जी की सपोर्ट के लिए मैं आया. मैं भी एक पर्सनल रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ कि मुकेश सिंह कुशवाहा जी के रूप में आप एक अच्छे व्यक्तित्व को वहाँ भेजें ताकि वो बात रख पाए. अदरवाइज ये ना हो कि अपनी फर्म में कोई काम ले लें, प्रॉपरली समाज के लिए भी काम कर पाए, वो जरूरी है. इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं माइक हैंड ओवर कर रहा हूँ अपने भाई मुकेश सिंह कुशवाहा जी को.
थैंक यू विनय भाई. मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है, अमरीश जी अगर सुन रहे हैं मेरी आवाज.
अमरीश जी नहीं है, अमरीश जी वो दूसरे
अच्छा.
हैं, मेरी बात होगी अमरीश जी से, वो ज्वाइन
अच्छा.
नहीं कर पाए आज. कुछ
अरविंद गौर साहब हैं, एपी वर्मल जी हैं, पंचम मौर्य जी हैं.
नहीं कर पाए बहुत सारी सिस्टम
पंचम
में
मौर्य जी
प्रॉब्लम
से रिक्वेस्ट है, पंचम मौर्य जी को विनय जी अनम्यूट कीजिए अगर वो अवेलेबल है तो.
जी. पंचम मौर्य जी को मैं कर रहा हूँ.
और उसके बाद हम राकेश, हमारे मदान साहब हैं, उनको वोट ऑफ थैंक्स के लिए मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा.
पंचम जी आप पोस्ट, मैंने आपको इनवाइट कर दिया है, प्लीज आप पंचम मौर्य जी रोम्बर. मैंने
पंचम जी अनम्यूट कीजिए अपने आप को.
शायद
मदान साहब को भी आपको.
राकेश भाई साहब भी आगे हैं, वो आगे हैं. राकेश भाई साहब को मैं कर रहा हूँ.
पंचम जी अगर आवाज सुन रहे हैं तो अपने आप को अनम्यूट करके। एसएस कादरी साहब है हमारे पटना से। कादरी साहब आप कुछ कहना चाहते हैं? कादरी साहब को नारेकर साहब उज्जैन से हमारे। पारस छाजड़ जी राजनाथ गांव से हैं। मेंबर्स पूरे रीजन से हमारे बीच में हैं।
मैंने कुशवाहा जी सबको अनम्यूट कर दिया है, जिसे यदि अपनी बात रखनी है, क्योंकि ये सौभाग्य की बात है कि
हाँ,
डॉक्टर साहब
अपने-
हमारे बीच में, डॉक्टर राकेश गुप्ता जी हमारे बीच में। फिर जेंट्स का क्या था कि कुछ टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम थी जिसके हमारे मेंबर ज्वाइन नहीं कर पाए, रजिस्ट्रेशन ज्यादा थे, वो मेरी भी कुछ जगह बातें हुई हैं। तो यदि कोई अपनी बात रखना चाह रहा तो वन बाई वन वो अपनी बात रख सकते हैं। विपिन जी हमारे साथ हैं, विपिन जैन मेरठ से।
विपिन जी
आप कुछ
को
कहना
अनम्यूट
चाहते
कर
हैं?
दीजिए। सर अपना वीडियो ऑन कर लीजिए जिससे हम आपको अनम्यूट कर पाए। और कादरी साहब, नरेकर जी, पंचम जी,
वो मुझे लग रहा है
हर्षल जी,
मुकेश जी
कपूर जी
नहीं
भी
है।
हैं।
मुकेश जी वो मुझे लग रहा है शायद नहीं वो।
मेरी रिक्वेस्ट, विपिन जैन साहब कुछ कहना चाहते हैं? अपना हाथ उठा दीजिए सर। नहीं तो राकेश भाई साहब से रिक्वेस्ट है वोट ऑफ थैंक्स प्रेजेंट करें और अब सेशन को समाप्त करें।
Thank you, Mukesh ji. I hope I am audible.
यस सर।
यस सर।
First of all, really, matlab, it is a pleasure to hear Dr. Rakesh Gupta ji. I have heard him earlier also, I think twice only or thrice. And today, no sooner I saw the message of Kushwaha ji that there is a conference going on and Rakesh Gupta ji is there. So immediately I cancelled all my other commitments and started my video. It was really, you are a good orator and it is par excellence, with definitely abundance of knowledge.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And today another facet of his is seen as a poet. This is a new thing. And definitely, actually, you have understood the suffering of the SSE. And with this portal and all these problems going on, I need not repeat it again. But really, I feel that Kushwaha ji would be in a position to again invite Gupta ji again and again, and we should get a benefit of that. Kushwaha ji, please try to hold Gupta ji again and again.
मैं तो माध्यम बन ही जाऊंगा, पर आपकी रिक्वेस्ट जरूरी है।
नहीं नहीं नहीं, thanks a lot
हमेशा प्यार
for
रहता है, हमेशा हमारे साथ।
Gupta ji ने इतना time दिया, really we all are thankful for him. Next, I would convey my sincere thanks to the chairman of the session, S.K. Bhargava ji. I hope S.K. Bhargava ji is recognizing me.
हाँ,
क्योंकि आज भार्गवा जी बहुत दिन बाद आईसीए की फोरम पे आए लगता है मुझे।
हाँ, ये तो नेट ठीक है। तो नेट सट गया है या पैक हो गया है?
तो एसके भार्गवा जी is a very old family friend of mine. My father started practice in Kanpur along with respective PS Bhargava ji.
yes.
तो सुनील भार्गवा जी, नवीन भार्गवा जी, ये लोग जबलपुर कभी कभी आते थे, मुलाकात होती थी।
जी हाँ।
तो आज
वहाँ ऊपर
उनको भी देखने का और सुनने का सौभाग्य मिला। तो डेफिनेटली इट वाज अ प्लेजर फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस।
थैंक यू।
भार्गवा जी आप ऐसे आते रहिए।
ये जो है बाकी काम जो था,
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल सर।
Thanks a lot for giving time. And the co-host Mukesh Kushwaha ji,
वजह
I have, मतलब you all know him.
में क्या लगेगा?
He is a really dynamic person, always thinking for the members, of the members, by the members, and through the institute. I have seen him fighting for all matters, whether he was a member or not. Unfortunately, I think he was not. Then he is nominated. But I have seen him very active. So this activeness he may continue, and we should get benefit of it. So Kushwaha,
सर अनम्यूट करें आप। सर म्यूट हो गए मदान साहब।
अब सर राकेश भाई ने आपको डायनामिक पर्सन कहा, मैं कहता हूँ आप तो डायनामाइट पर्सन है।
राइट 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 राइट।
सर
तो मैं वही मुकेश कुशवाहा जी के लिए बोलना चाह रहा हूँ कि मुकेश कुशवाहा जी आप संघर्ष करो, हम आपके साथ हैं। क्योंकि इंस्टीट्यूट में डेफिनेटली इंस्टीट्यूट बहुत अच्छा करती है, बट लेकिन कई जगह कुछ लकूनास या कुछ रह जाते हैं तो उसको फिलअप करने के लिए सम पर्सन आर रिक्वायर्ड जो बीच बीच में टेल ट्विस्टिंग करें और इस टाइप की एक्टिविटीज होती रहे। मैं तो बोलूंगा कि जिस कोरोना से जो ब्लेसिंग इन डिसगाइड हमें मिला कि इतने अच्छे अच्छे स्पीकर्स को अपने जगह पे बैठे सुनने मिला, आई थिंक इट वॉज ए ब्लेसिंग इन डिसगाइड जो VCM स्टार्ट हुआ है। और मुझे तो बहुत ही बेनिफिट हुआ है बिकॉज आई हैव अ मोबिलिटी प्रॉब्लम ऑल्सो, बट लेकिन विद दिस आई एम इन टच विद ऑल।
सर आप कहाँ जबलपुर से हैं सर, कहाँ से हैं?
मैं जबलपुर से हूँ सर।
अच्छा जबलपुर से हैं।
जी
सर
जी जी जी।
आपके जबलपुर ने एक हमें बहुत अच्छा मेंबर ट्राइब्यूनल दिया, मिस्टर NK बिलैया।
यस यस यस, इज अ वेरी ओल्ड फ्रेंड ऑफ माइन।
अच्छा अच्छा,
हाँ, yes. Very intelligent person, very intelligent person.
Very intelligent.
Yes, yes,
Blessed to have him.
yes, yes. So he is a member.
Yes.
और हमारे एरिया से मतलब MP से पहले, इसके पहले GS अग्रवाल जी भी रह चुके हैं रायपुर के।
Yes yes. GS अग्रवाल जी, GD अग्रवाल जी।
हाँ, GD अग्रवाल जी, सॉरी।
हाँ, GS अग्रवाल जी तो उनके पार्टनर होते हैं।
जी 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 जी। तो अभी बिलैया जी हैं और मित्तल जी जो होस्ट है, इनको लिए भी थैंक्स दूंगा मैं। ये भी बीच बीच में हम लोग को बहुत सपोर्ट करते रहते हैं, बड़े अच्छा मटेरियल भेजते रहते हैं। तो मित्तल जी ऐसी इस टाइप की बस एक्टिविटीज होती रहे जो हम लोग का अपडेशन होता रहे यहाँ पे। जैसे अभी आपने बात करी टेने और वगैरह में इतनी ग्लिचेज और प्रॉब्लम आ रही, मैं भी टेने ही लेके बैठा था कि टेने या 4 मेरी आज एक भी फाइल नहीं हो पा रही थी। तो कुछ ना कुछ प्रॉब्लम तो है, क्या दीज आर अपार्ट, बट फेसलेस की जो चीजें इनने बताई हैं डॉक्टर साहब ने, आई थिंक we should have more and more quite often with Gupta ji. So thank you once again, and thank you Kushwaha ji for giving me the opportunity of interacting with you all. So thank you very much.
Thank you sir. Thank you.